How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a lovely day. It's that time again. It's time to get into some animation, time to get that imagination cranked up, get into some creativity, and it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from Victor de la Fuente. If you're not familiar with his work, check right over here. I love him. I think he's a phenomenal artist. He does kind of a mix of almost like a Frazetta and a Mobius. So definitely check more of his stuff out. He's, I believe, Spanish, and I don't feel like he gets nearly enough recognition for his brilliance. Here, so just check out some of these sketches. They're so full of life and full of structure and weight and emotion and everything. I just love his work, and he's got great composition, great layout. I think his stylings are very in the vein of something that I'd aspire to be someday, hopefully. So definitely check out more of his stuff. I will throw a link in the description below, but I did want to share a quote with you guys. This is from the blog that's kind of attributed to him or based on him. Unfortunately, there wasn't really any quotes about his work process or anything that I could find. So let me know if you know more about him, because I'd love to read more of his writings. But I thought this quote was really interesting, and at least something that would spark kind of a conversation or a thought process about the creative process, and that was you're able to contribute more with so few strokes. And I thought that was an interesting kind of discussion on minimalism in work, and I think there's a couple ways you can talk about that. In a piece, if you have fewer lines that work, you can get your point across easier. And the same with speech. To be able to say something very articulate in a few amount of words is... And here I'm going to be inarticulate, of course, to better exemplify this quote. It's more important to just try and find the heart and the meat of what it is and do it simply in a way that can be expressed and enjoyed and thought about by others. And I think that goes as well to the thought processes of a creator as well, because you gotta, and this is something that I struggle with, but it's kind of counterintuitive to the animation time programming itself, because I wanted to do something that was different, that kind of bucked the curve with doing these videos, is because there's not a lot of people that just throw all of it out there. They usually cut it down, and this way you get to see the whole process. You get to see when things work, when things don't work, when I struggle, when something doesn't go the right way, and sometimes when they go correctly. And but I do think, and I tend to be a little more with my illustration work, a little more pulled back and don't want to share too much unless it's something that I'm really believe in. At least that's kind of the thought process behind it. So I think it's important to try and look at that from a few different angles, and it depends on what your message is or what you want to get across with these videos. I'm doing them to hopefully encourage you guys and inspire you guys and share what I know and learn with you guys and take another step in that journey for learning animation and growing in it and playing around with the medium. But I think, if you're looking at a reel that you want to share or try to get jobs with or anything, you want to only put the best stuff that you can on there. You don't want to show the stuff that's not as good. There was a critique that I once watched. I want to say it was a Sean Kelly critique, but I could be wrong. So, but it was somebody of maybe it was Carlos Baena, I forget. But they had this great thing that I've kind of always stuck. This person had a reel that they put up for like review or critique so that they could get better. And it had some good shots in there, but it was about, I want to say it was about 4 minutes or so for the reel, which for somebody who's not familiar with animation, 4 minutes doesn't really seem like that long, but usually a reel is about 2 minutes long. 2 minutes of really good material is what you really want to do, because that way it allows people to go through a lot of reels, and if you have something memorable that really sticks out, they're gonna find that. You can kind of get off, or people can understand your skill level or your approach or your stylings or something within 2 minutes. They can get that idea. But they had this reel that was about, like I said, it was about 5 or 6 minutes. It was a little bit longer, and it had some good stuff, but it was also mixed with a bunch of, I wouldn't say it was bad animation, but it was definitely just kind of run of the mill, just stuff that, a lot of times when we're stick with doing stuff within an hour, I'm not going to say that this is stuff that I would definitely put on a reel. It's just practicing and playing around with the medium. And the thing that they said was just cut it, just take those parts that really work and only show the 2 minutes. And if they need more, you have more, and that's always a great thing to have. If you have a lot and they, the company that you were working for, or the client that you're working for wants to see more of your work, you have more of that you can show. But if you leave them with that, start off with something really strong on your reel and then end with something strong again and have only good stuff in the middle too, you're going to leave a better impression than if, you hit at the 3-minute mark and they're like, okay, this is pretty good, and then you get another 2 minutes that's just not that great of animation. They might start getting turned off, where if you had only that 2 minutes of strong, they'd be like, oh, we want more, leave them wanting more kind of a feeling. And I think that's kind of this quote that we're getting back into is sometimes less is better. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into some animation. I'm a little bit rambly today. So maybe you got something out of that, or at least started a spark of something that you're thinking about for your creative world today. And this is the Mobot rig. It's a free rig you can grab over at Creative Crash. And if you're not familiar with what we'll be doing for the rest of the video, is we give ourselves 48 frames. It's 2 seconds of animation. I go off and I find a rig that I've never used before. It's a free resource for you guys to play around with as well. And we kind of go from there, a little bit of over the shoulder, just hang out with me while I animate, a little bit of instruction or guidance or talking through the process. But the main goal, like I mentioned before, of doing these videos is to hopefully encourage you guys and inspire you to go off and create something using your imagination and using your creativity, and taking another step in your journey to mastering whatever medium it is that you're passionate about. And so that being said, let's go ahead and get in here. So for this one, I was thinking we'd do a little lift off and then a little fly over. I don't want to go a different direction. I always go, yeah, we'll go that way. Okay. So let's create a more interesting pose. I'm going to relax this hand here, and let's make sure we turn everything off except for our nerve curves, nerve surfaces, and our polygons. And let's create a more interesting starting pose here. I want to create something almost relaxed or almost like shut down style. And then we'll perk him up as we go. And we'll bring that down as well. Ooh, that might be a little too much for like intersecting into there, so I'll try and find something that's like that. I'll rotate back a little bit here. Take these portions and rotate them. Okay, kind of counterintuitive, so I'll bring this back here. Just trying to make something feel a little bit more relaxed. Let's drop the shoulders here. We'll drop the other one here. And again, this isn't going to be a walk. This is going to be more of a mini short animation here. And I'll rotate that out a little bit. Rotate that out a little bit. Take the hands here. Actually, let's do a little bit more there. Again, we're trying to go for a relaxed, almost shut down style pose here to start with. Feels a little off kilter there. Feels a little more lined up. And I think we'll also droop the hips just a little bit. And let's look at the fingers there. See what we have for. Let's do them individually. Group This one as well. And let's do a little bit on the middle joint just to curl them a little bit, and the last joint. And let's take the rotate X, or maybe rotate Z. Stick that a little bit more. Okay. And bring that one in a little bit. Just try and create a more relaxed hand pose here. And there is a little bleeding of the fingers into the other one, so I got to be aware of that as well. Let's curl that one in a little bit that way. And let's look at the thumb. Let's drop the thumb down here. Whoa. See if we can get there. There we go. Something a little more relaxed than the stiff pose that we're given to start with. Stretch them up the side to side here. Bend the middle and bend the last one. Rotate that in a little bit. Bring that down, something like that. And I'm just going to take these ones individually instead of the other ones. I kind of tried to group them together and treat them all as a unit and then break them up that way. This one I'm going to do a little more individually. As well. And let's just do a little bit of curl on the last joint here. Okay, I think that's an alright relaxed starting pose. Another thing, maybe I'll rotate the feet inward a little bit more. Just play around with them a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and save our file. We are using Autodesk Maya 2014 for today's video. For more information on that and all the stuff we talk about, check out the links in the description below. And let's turn our grid off here. Let's grab everything. We'll go ahead and go to frame 0. Okay, let's just stick with frame 1. And grab everything and we'll set our first key there. Delete that and delete that. Okay, is there a controller for this gun? Because that's going to drive me nuts. I mean, it's a cool thing, but I want to be able to turn it off if I can. Is there a controller for the gun? It's got to be one somewhere. Okay, let's try something else. Window, animation editors, graph editor here. And what do we have? If we can just select this one. Where's that? Let's just turn these, the visibility off. That way at least it's not flickering for now. Okay, so we'll keep that, and we'll grab everything, go to frame 1, set our first key. Okay. If we want to turn it back on, we can always do that, but avoid that for now. So we want to start here, and we're just going to do a rough kind of posing pass here. And then we're going to go down to anticipate the lift off. And let's do a little bit of rotate there. Bring that back. Actually down a little bit more. Rotate that down. Swing the arms forward a little bit. Push our weight over a little bit more. Z and push it forward a little bit more. Feels a little more balanced. Okay. We'll go ahead and go at 9 and set that. And again, we're just going to do a rough posing pass to get our idea here. And we're going to shoot upward here, just so we get a little bit of lift off the ground. I think we only want to go a couple, want it to be kind of quick, so do something like that. And then we'll go a little bit of up and down after that, so up, overshoot that a little bit more, and then go down, and give me about 60 frames for this shot. And we'll get 5 frames, go back up a little bit, 6 frames, we'll go down, just so you get a little bit of that. And 7 frames, we'll go back down a little bit, then 8 frames, from there would be 45, go back up, window, animation editors, graph editor, let's check that out and make sure kind of hitting that about right. I'm gonna miss something there. Okay, so let's see how that feels. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I need one more frame getting up there. We're just gonna slow that down a little bit more. So let's see. This overshoot might be a little too much here. Let's see. Okay, let's go with something more like that. Push it to shorter frame. Okay, that'll work. Again, this is still kind of a rough pass, and then we want to go. I don't need that. I can delete that one. And then actually, let's go about 72. And then once we have this hit here, let's make sure we kind of. We'll just go keep working. I was gonna maybe do some. Let's keep with the hips. Okay, so I want to set that there, and then I want it to jet off screen. Kind of slow. Nah, I think I want to go pretty quick here. see if we can switch the legs to FK here, if there's a switch or not. Maybe it's on here. No. Is that it? Left arm, right leg, left leg. Okay. So let's see if we can key that, and then here, we put it at 0. So what? See if we can get a better transition. So here we'd want to do like a toe raise, or raise the heel here. And then we want to go here and rotate those down and set that. Pretty good transition. It's not perfect, but it'll work. Okay, and then we want to make sure that we keep the IK-FK switch on, so we don't need that going back. Let's see. So let's watch that now. Spacing again. If I translate C. Do a little more of a slow out of there. Okay, it's a good rough start to our shot. You get the idea across, shoots up, and shoots across. Now we want to do some more posing and everything, but we've got a rough timing pass on there, and rough idea for the overall idea behind the shot, I guess. Saying the word idea too much. Okay, so let's start looking through this thing and droop the shoulders down further here, and then swing up there, and go down, then up a little bit again. So that's 4, this should be 5, because I want to slow it down a little bit. 6 frames from that would be 9, and 7 frames from that. Key there, bring those back again. So let's see. And let's do a little more first one's probably a little too much, so I'll scale it back a little bit more. Yeah, it still just feels like too much. That one feels okay, but that first one, it's just too high. So I'll bring it back about there. And we don't need to go as low there, so scale that back up. Now let's look at that now. Maybe we'll slow it down a little bit more. Let's see. And have it hit about 2 frames later. So we could push that over a frame. Maybe 1 frame sooner. Let's say that now. Alright, that starts to feel better. Okay, and let's look at the neck. Where's that neck controller? Lose it somewhere in there. I know I had one for a while. Oh well, whatever. Let's look at the chest. That'll probably fix it. So like 15, we'll rotate that down. 20, we'll straighten it out. And 26, we'll go back a little bit. And 7 frames from that would be 33. We'll go back a little bit. So we kind of get that little bit of a recoil. Then we'll have to offset that in the hips as well with the rotation there. So 8 frames would be 41, and we'll key that. And go 9 frames, and that would be 50. Keep that there. Okay, let's see how we like that. Let's look at it. I do want it to puff out more though. So let's go higher like that. I'm not going to worry about the head right now. I'm just trying to get this body working. Okay, and let's go rotate X here. That looks better. Forward and back. we still have to fix up the head a little bit more. Maybe not as much back there. Let's see it again. Okay, and let's look at the neck now. We've got that controller dug out from there. Number 22, we want to pull that back there. Bring that head up here. Maybe a little bit more. Try and find that kind of pose we want to work with. Whoa. Not rotate, or not scale. I want the rotate there. Okay, that feels better. Stupid scale. Okay. Let's make sure we zero that. Oh, or put it back to 1 there. Does feel like it kind of takes a little too long. Like everything here shouldn't take 5 frames to go from there. So let's grab all of that. And we'll go ahead and just hold that for another frame or so. Because I want it to almost snap into that. Let's see. Feels a little better. Just think overall we could probably cut. Gotta be careful here though. 'Cause I like the up and down working, it's just the rotation here. So we'll grab all of those. Holds for too long, so we'll just set everything forward a frame. So we get that little bit of snap towards the top. And let's push all that stuff forward a frame as well. Okay, and let's look at the legs. There. Do we have leg controllers? Where are they? See some knees, but what? Okay, here they are. All right. So, gotta make sure. I think they switch over at 12, so we'll set there at 12. And let's rotate them forward a little bit here. And then back. That's 5, so forward a little bit. And 6 frames later, it'll be 33, back, 40, and 48. Again, it will minimize that a whole lot as well. Let's see how that looks. Rotate Z and rotate Z. We'll offset it with the knees as well. And again, we don't want a lot of this, just a little bit of movement in those legs. Let's see. I'm going to invert it here as well. just grabbing those and none of the geometry here. Okay. All I want is the lower leg controller. It's gonna let me just grab those. Let's see. Okay. Kind of works. Let's turn the visibility off on those for a second, just so I can grab both of those controllers. And then, what was it, 16? Here's the frame where they switch. 12. So key it at 12. And go forward a little bit here. Back a little there. And then forward from there would be 6 frames there. There. And then 7 frames after that would be 4 back. 8 frames from there. 2 forward. And then 9 frames would be 51 back. Okay. And again, let's minimize that stuff a little bit more, and let's see how that's working. Okay, that's fine, except we need to make sure that we're not keying these guys. And delete that. So we don't want to be able to key the geometry, but that's okay. Alright, now let's do a little bit on the feet as well here. Again, we'll keep that. And let's go a little bit up here. And then back there. And forward here. So 5 frames, so 6 frames there. And we're gonna minimize this a lot too. It's 7 frames from there would be 35. And 8 frames from there would be 43. And then 9 frames would be 52 back. Okay, and let's also let's scale that back a lot. Let's see. It's too much up. We gotta go be more down. Okay. Too much swing up there. So scale that back. Scale that back. Just bring the whole amount of movement, tone down a little bit more. Okay. push them forward a frame. I feel like they're a little too slow. That feels better. Okay, then let's go save our file here and let's hold that down a little bit more. So grab this. Let's give me another 3 frames there. Let's see. Translate Y, bring that down a little bit more, and overshoot it here. Let's see. Yeah, it still feels like it could be a couple frames longer. Just to anticipate that leap up a little bit more. So let's see. Let's look at our translate Y for that area here. Let's have it go up a little bit faster. Just our spacing. And let's look at the toes here. Let's do a little bit there. We'll set those there. And then at 21, we'll have them rotate forward. And that's 4, so 5 frames from there. We'll have them drag back. And 6 frames would be 32, go forward, and 7 frames would be 39, and 8 frames would be 47, and 9 frames would be 56. Okay, and let's tone all of that a lot more down. And we want to favor a more dragged position, so a lower position. Because the gravity would pull those toes a little bit more. I think we could delay it maybe even 1 more frame, so let's see. Nah. Let's go back the original timing. Okay, let's save that, and now let's do a little bit of drag on the feet here. So we want everything to be right at 55. We set everything there. And then let's look at a little bit of drag in the shoulders here. just to show that there's some drag throughout the rest of the body as the momentum is pushing it forward. And we'll go to the last part and make sure that we amp that up a little bit more here. And there. And let's look at that again. And there, we're just kind of looking at the arms there. We'll do a little bit there as well. Again, keep here. We'll start doing a little bit there. So we've got a little bit of swing forward and then back. Let's look at the wrists here. We'll go ahead and so we'll drag those that way. More. And delay this for a couple of frames there. And now let's do a similar thing with the legs. So I'm going to grab both of those. Do a little bit of rotate Z here, make sure we zero out that one again. Alright, and let's make sure that we slow out of that a little bit more. Maybe we can amp that up a little bit more. Again, we're going to be doing some in the knees here, so I'm going to hide those ones so we can grab those controllers. We'll turn them back on. Again, we want to set that. Or set this one. Do a little bit of swing forward as those on top of the legs start swinging back. And we'll start swinging this way, and then this way. Let's see. So there's a little dip down instead of going completely horizontal. Okay, I think I'm going to do a little bit of movement in the fingers as well. So let's go ahead and create a new camera. I kind of like that camera angle. And let's look at the fingers here. So like there. Here we're going to have them stretch out there. So stretch those all out, push that forward here a little bit more. And here we'll have them go in, curl in a little bit. And go back to there. Take that to about there. Let's see, we've got 7 frames there, so 8 frames here. We'll push that back. 35, we'll go there. Let's see. So we've got 8 frames there, and then 9 frames there, and then 10 frames would put us here. So let's go there, that one. This is kind of just varying between 2 keys here as well. Okay, that works. Now let's look at the other side here. Make sure we're grabbing all these ones. They're a little bit hidden in here. And we'll key that. And then let's figure out which. 14 was there. Which one did we do on this side? So we're at 17. Okay. 17 is the one where we kind of stretch out a little bit more. Drag down. Let's see, that's the one where we curl in here. Bring that in. some movement there. I'm not too worried about the timing making it perfect here. And we'll look at the other thumb here. We'll go 17. Bring it in. 24. Bring it out. 31. Bring it in. 139. Go out a little bit. And a little bit. Out a little bit. Just add some movement there. And then the other thing we're going to do is do a little bit of drag in these fingers. So let's grab all of them here again. We'll set them all here at 59. Actually, we'll set them all at 54. 59. Let's do a little bit of drag forward. And I'm going to drag them back and back even further. Okay. And let's look at the other side here. Okay, if I can get in there and grab them. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And go to about 54 here. Set them there. And swing forward a little bit there. Back a little there. And back further. Okay. Again, it's not stuff you're really going to see, but it's always good to get in the habit of trying to animate everything. Just in case maybe your director says they want a different camera angle or they need to move stuff, you've already got a lot of it built in there. So let's go ahead and watch this again. Let's go ahead and turn our curves off. We'll switch back to our original perspective there. And let's see how we're looking at. And I think I'm going to see if there's any controllers just on these little back jet things. Do they have any cool things we could do there? It'd be kind of cool if they had little thrusters or something. Unfortunately, I don't think they do. Oh, we could do a little bit of drag there. Let's delete that one. Go here. A little bit of rotate Z or Y. Should zero that out. And 7 frames from that would be 33. Go forward. 8 frames would be 41. Just to add something to loosen it up a little bit more. 40. 49, just a little bit. And let's see that. Okay, let's see if we like it. Just to add something else that we can throw in there. Alright, I think it's working okay. So let's go ahead and turn our curves off. Go ahead and save our file one more time. Let's take a look back at where we started. We were looking at the beautiful work of Victor de la Fuente and the blog Deskartesmil, which is a blog dedicated to Victor de la Fuente. He said you're able to contribute more with so few strokes, and I think that's a really interesting concept about trying to put your best foot forward, put out just the content that you really think exemplifies or personifies the idea that you want out there. think that's kind of be aware of, I guess, your image or your message, and try and make sure that the things that you're doing support that. So that being said, thanks again for watching. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes. You guys are amazing. I love you lots. Remember, if you're watching this, you are the creative future. I hope you're going out there and making another step in your journey to mastering whatever medium it is that you're passionate about. And that being said, we will see you for some more animation tomorrow.